dominant fashion, winning by a score of 92-70. The Aces were led by, A'ja Wilson, who had an outstanding 38 points and 10 rebounds to go along with 4 blocks as well. Followed by Alicia Clark coming off the bench, who had 14 points and 6 rebounds herself. And Jackie Young had 15 points and 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Kelsey Plum had 10 points, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a rebound. And Chelsea Gray had 9 points, 9 assists, and 4 rebounds as well. So the biggest... By the way, A'ja Wilson also went 8 for 10 from the free throw line. So the big story of this night, of this matchup, of this game, was A'ja Wilson's dominating performance. And watching the game last night and seeing her performance, even when Chicago would double, she was still able to find her shot. And particularly when they would double from the top as opposed to from the bottom. And what I mean by that is, so if you catch the ball in the low post, right? If you catch it on the low post and say you're on the right block, that help side is that double is normally going to come from inside, meaning that it's coming from the top. So if you're on the low block and the top of you is the middle of the paint, that's where the help side is. So that's where the double is going to come from, and that's what I mean when I say the help comes from the top. If the help is coming from the side instead of the top, it just means that whatever defender's in the corner is going to double you off of when you get the ball in the post. So as opposed to you getting doubled from the top in the block, you're getting doubled from the block and the side. So it's a little bit of a different angle. It's a little harder to score when the help comes, or when the double comes from the top, and because you're turning into that shoulder, you're turning into the middle. But A'ja showed immense poise and control to score off of her inside shoulder, which would be her left shoulder if she's on the right block, and scoring going into that double from the top side. And watching her perform, watching her play that game, it reminded me of a couple of other dominant post players from the WNBA that had soft feet and great touch around the rim. A couple of them being Sylvia Fowles, Tina Thompson, and particularly Lisa Leslie. The only difference, though, obviously A'ja's left-handed; those other players are right-handed. But that is what A'ja reminded me of in her performance. And what I loved most about her performance is that she didn't settle. What you start to see is, especially with post players that can stretch the floor and have great touch and excellent range going out to like 17, 18 feet, they start to settle for that outside shot when they know they're getting doubled, and they stop attacking the paint. What you saw with A'ja, though, every time she got a post entry, she would pivot and face towards the basket and give a jab or a pump and going to the contact on that drive. So she never settled. She never settled for any outside shots. She took a couple outside shots, but she didn't settle. She always looked to get to the basket. She always looked to draw contact, and she always looked to get to the rim. And that was great to see, because it showed that she knows that she can get to her spots whenever she wants to. And her shooting that 17, 18 footer without her being doubled is her settling. That's her settling. And so she understands now the importance of not settling on any possession, and how in the playoffs each possession is that much more important. So you have to be much more crisp. You have to take advantage of every possession, and you can't take any possessions off, especially in the playoffs. And she's really starting to understand that, and she's no longer settling for any outside shots, because she can get, even when they double, now she knows she can get to the paint, she can get to her spots, she can get to the rim whenever she wants to. And that doesn't always mean having to go up with the shot. It just means having to kicking it out to an Alicia Clark, or to a Chelsea Gray, or to a Kelsey Plum, or to a Jackie Young. All these players who are great shooters. And so she's done a phenomenal job of really having that offense ran through her. I know they run a lot of 4-out, 1-in, and they run a lot of high PNRs and DHOs, particularly from the top of the key. But that offense is ran through Asia, and you see how much space they give her on the 4-out 1 in motion. But also it's because they have great shooters. I mean, her being surrounded by great shooters and perhaps the greatest backcourt in WNBA history obviously takes a lot of pressure off of her, and it makes it a little easier. But the fact that she's not settling for anything on the offensive end is phenomenal, and her ability to stay disciplined on the defensive end is a sight to see as well. I mean, if we look at her, she only had one foul. She had one foul last night, and she had 4 blocks. As I said, she does an amazing job of staying on her feet because she knows she normally doesn't have to jump because her length is so long. She doesn't have to jump to get any blocks, and she does a great job of her reaction time. Her getting what we call her second jump. So say. Now I remember one possession in the third quarter where she blocked one shot on a player driving baseline, and then the team got offensive rebound. As soon as A'ja Wilson landed from her first jump, she jumped right back up and blocked the second shot. And so what we call that second jump, her ability to still be explosive on her second jump, is bar none. I mean, I haven't seen anything like that in quite a long time, especially from the WNBA. And her reaction time is phenomenal, and her ability, like I said, to generate power for that second jump quickly is something I haven't seen since Candace Parker was in her prime, when she was with the Sparks. And the difference between Candace and A'ja is that A'ja is much more physical, and she's looking to block those shots. As opposed to Candace, she kind of just was there on the help side, still a great defender, but Asia's looking to is hunting for those block shots, each and every possession, and she's not swiping. Like I said, she's extremely disciplined. She plays walled up at all times, and because she does a good job of bumping too, when her player, the player she's guarding, attacks the basket, she does a good job of bumping, forcing that player to get a wider attack angle. And when we have wider attack angles, it's harder to get to the basket, and so she's almost riding out the player she's guarding, forcing her player to shoot a more difficult shot. And this is why A'ja Wilson's one of the, if not the best defender in the WNBA, because she can go out and guard your 2 or your 3 man, and obviously she can play. She's a phenomenal defender in the low post. And watching her perform on the defensive end last night, it spoke credence to all that, and it was really a masterclass performance on the defensive end. And there's no question she was the main catalyst why Vegas was able to sweep Chicago in this first round matchup. But a more interesting series that is taking place in the WNBA so far is the matchup between the Lynx and the Sun. We're gonna be covering all of that in our next segment, guys, so be sure to stick around. You are not going to miss it.